I was noticing a couple mistakes that some students were making, and this video is here to help you so that when you go and make your test corrections, you can see examples being done and the correct way to do them. I'm not going to be going over every type of question that was on the quiz because I think it's important that you know notes and make the corrections yourselves, but some of the mistakes that were made by a lot of students, I'm going to do those types of problems on the board right now. So we're going to start off with a nice and easy one that most students would have gotten right, and then I'm going to go on to a couple where there were pitfalls that you need to watch out for. So in this case, I'm just going to ask you to find me the vertex. You know that this was on your quiz. I said find the vertex, and I think I gave you like 3 functions. So we all know that the vertex is going to be located at the opposite of b over 2a, comma, f of the opposite of b over 2a. Okay? So all this means is we're going to get the opposite of b over 2a, and then whatever number we get here, we're going to plug it in for x. That will give us our y value, and that goes here. Okay? So, write down what your A, B, and C are, and it's very important. Even if you think you know it and you say, oh, I can do it in my head, you should still always write it down. So, A equals 1, because remember A is the coefficient of x squared. B is going to equal 6. It's a coefficient of the x term, and then C is going to be negative 4. So now all we do is plug them in. So the opposite of B, so we're going to need to get the opposite of B over 2a. Good. So the opposite of B is the opposite of 6, which is negative 6, over 2 times A, which is 1. Okay, and this is going to equal negative 6 over 2 times 1 is 2, equals negative 3. So we now know that the x-coordinate of our vertex is negative 3. So let's write our here. Our vertex is going to be located at negative 3, comma, something. Okay? Now how do we find the y-coordinate? We're going to do just what I said. We're going to take this, we're going to plug it in for x up here, and then we're just going to evaluate it. Okay? So y equals negative 3 squared plus 6 times negative 3 minus 4. Okay? So negative 3 squared we know is 9. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18, so plus negative 18, and then minus 4. Okay? Then order of operations, so addition is first here, so 9 plus negative 18, well that's going to be negative 9, and then minus 4. Negative 9 minus 4, that's the same as negative 9 plus negative 4. I said in previous videos, if you're good with subtraction, just do it. If not, change it to plus negative. So negative 9 plus negative 4 is negative 13. So there's a y. So this is your x, this is your y. So there's our vertex. Our vertex is located at negative 3, negative 13. Let's try this one out. So we know the vertex is located at the opposite of b over 2a, comma, f of the opposite of b over 2a. And then I said the first thing to do is make sure you label your A, B, and C. So A equals 1, B equals negative 2, and C equals 3. So we know that the x-coordinate of our vertex is the opposite of b over 2a. So we're going to do things in. Now this is the mistake that I saw on the quiz, because on your quiz there was a negative here, okay? Just because b is negative doesn't mean, hey, I'm all set because it said b had to be negative. No. That's why I always use the word opposite. The opposite of b over 2a. So if b is negative 2, the opposite of negative 2 is positive 2. And then over 2 times 1. Okay, does everybody understand that? So if b is negative, it's not like you just, oh, bring it down, we're all set. No, no, no. The opposite of whatever b is. So if b is negative, you're going to put a positive number here. If b were positive, you're going to put a negative number here. Okay? And then this becomes 2, which equals 1. And then, of course, we just take the 1 here that we got, and we plug it in up here to find our y. Y equals 1 squared minus 2 times 1 plus 3, which equals 1, and then minus 2 times 1, so minus 2 plus 3 So 1 minus 2 is negative 1 plus 3. So negative 1 plus 3 is going to equal 2. So our y coordinate is 2. Okay? So there's our vertex, 1, comma 2. And then the most important thing I want you to get from this is that if b is negative, the opposite of b is positive. Now we're going to try a third one where we actually, look at this, we don't have a constant, so our constant is 0. So this was another one where I saw students with this B and this C and no A or something like that. So we want to make sure that we get the correct values of A, B, and C. So we're going to try this one. So again, our vertex located at the opposite of B over 2A, comma, F of the opposite of B over 2A. Okay? A, B, and C. Remember, A is the coefficient of the x squared term. B is the coefficient of the x term, so in this case, negative 4. And C is your constant, your number. So if there's no number here, if you've got an x squared term and an x term and then nothing else, that means that C is 0. Okay, so we don't just decide, to change C to be something else, all right? So let's start. So the opposite of B, so if B is negative 4, the opposite of negative 4 is positive 4. Remember, opposite of B over 2 times 1, which is going to equal 4 over 2, which is going to equal 2. So the x-coordinate of our vertex is 2. Good. Now we're going to take that value and we're going to plug it in up here wherever we see x. So 2 is going to go there and there. So y is going to be 2 squared minus 4 times 2. Minus 4 times 2 is 8. 4 minus 8 is negative 4. Good. So that's the y. So our vertex is located at 2, negative 4. We just did one where we actually didn't have a value of c. And now, as you can see, we've got an x squared term, we've got no x term, and then we've got a constant, okay? So we're going to try to find the vertex for this quadratic function in standard form, all right? So remember, our vertex is located at the opposite of b over 2a, comma, f of the opposite of b over 2a. Okay? Now, there is a quick way you don't have a x term to know where the vertex is, and that quick way is actually the vertex is located at 0, comma, c, your value of c, okay? So if we write out what B and C are, we could easily figure this. We know that when there's no x term, it's always going to be 0, comma, and then whatever c is, okay? So a equals 1, b equals 0, and c equals. So if we were to use this one to figure out the vertex, it would just be 0, comma, whatever c is, which is 7, okay? And that is the case. But let's say you forgot this. You're on your quiz or you're not sure and you're like, oh my gosh, I only remember this. We can still do it this way, and I'm going to do it this way right over here. See that, okay? But for future reference, next term, your vertex is always located at 0, comma, c. Okay, so again, that's why it's important to write out your values of a, b, and c so that you know which one c is and you know what the vertex is. So now let's try it if we were going to do it this way. So again, it's the opposite of b over 2a. So the opposite of 0, well, 0 is 0. It's not positive or negative, so it's just going to be, so the opposite of b over 2a, which is going to be 0 over 2 times 1, okay, which is going to equal 0 over 2. Now 0 divided by anything is just 0, okay? So 0. So the x-coordinate of our vertex, let's say we're going to put our vertex up here like we did before, is 0, comma. Now what we do is, again, we take this value and we plug it in up here. So to get y, it's going to be 0 squared plus 7. So 0 squared is 0 plus 7, and 0 plus 7 is just 7. So again, there's our vertex, okay? So it works both ways. So don't worry, remember, if you can't remember the shortcut and you do it the long way, that's okay, okay? That's okay. So either way would be fine.